This morning, we begin with your vote. The candidate you believe is the right choice for the White House. Today, how your decision could be based on a lot more than the candidate's politics and how Tuesday's debate may have played a role. During Tuesday's debate, the president repeatedly disregarded the rules, resulting in chaos. His challenger, former Vice President Joe Biden, tried to keep his cool but resorted to name-calling. With me now is Merrick Rosenberg. Rosenberg is the author of Personality Wins, Who Will Take the White House and How We Know. He is also the CEO of Take Flight Learning, a training program with a focus on personality styles. Thanks so much for being with us, Merrick.
Thanks for having me.
So you saw the debate, President Trump taking some heat over his performance. What did you see as you're looking at personalities?
Well, you've got these four personality styles. You've got eagles that are dominant and assertive and take charge. Clearly Donald Trump, and we watched it in action. You've got parrots, which is that Joe Biden style, but he's also been displaying a lot of that dove. The parrot is very energetic and has a big smile. The dove, very, very compassionate, caring, empathetic. Owls, logical and analytical. And this was a slugfest between an eagle who battles everything from the competitor to the moderator to the questions versus the dove who just kind of smiling and shrugging things off like, what is going on? I can't believe what's happening.
And how do voters, I'm sure his base respond very well, but how do you think voters see that eagle personality from President Trump?
Yeah, the challenge is that if you use an eagle and you use it well, it comes across as confident and assertive. But if you dial the energy up too much, then that confidence can be perceived as arrogance. That lack of listening skills and wanting to jump into on the conversation so quickly, that could be perceived as very aggressive. And I think that's his challenge. His challenge is that he dialed his eagle up too much. And now the people who aren't his raving fans may have been turned off by it.
And what about Biden? Did he make mistakes?
Well, as the parrot and dove combo, you watched as he smiled as Trump kind of attacked him and jumped in on his sentences. He probably needed to dial up a little bit more eagle so that he didn't seem weak compared to that big eagle energy. If I were advising him, I would have said, dial some more eagle, confidence, assertiveness. Don't just laugh it off, but get in there and attack like the eagle does.
We've seen a lot of changes, though, from his personality over the course of the campaign, right? I mean, now that you're comparing them, we've seen parrot, we've seen dove, we've seen some eagle, and it was hard to know what we were going to see when he stepped to the debate stage.
Yeah, early in Biden's career and early in the election process, he's always been very parrot, has a big smile, a lot of charisma. But it's almost as if the Democratic campaign that he's running is based on dove energy. If you watch the Democratic convention, if there was one word that captured the essence of that convention, it was empathy. And I think what they're trying to do is show that empathy gap between, you got Trump, who's got so much eagle and may have empathy but doesn't quite display it, and Biden, who is nice to people on a train and gives people his phone number because he cares about them. And the Democrats are really trying to focus on his empathy, and we saw it come through in this debate.
Now, what we didn't see, what most people complained about, is that we didn't see a lot of talk about policy. So people were really focused on their personality. Why does personality matter to the remaining undecided voters?
Well, what happens is people vote on personality. And if you go back for 22 straight elections in a row, personality wins. People tune into personality. Generally speaking, eagles and parrots have a big personality, and they tend to beat those doves and owls who are more reserved. And what we're seeing is Trump's eagle would generally, if you really look at what happens in history and compare that eagle to that dove style that Biden's been displaying, would take the day. But because Trump has dialed his eagle up so much, it may be more of a referendum on Trump's personality. He even said it in an interview at one point. He said, there must be something in my personality that people don't like. And I think he nailed it. I think that people, those swing voters, absolutely tune into personality. And I think they're tuning into Trump's overuse of his eagle. They're also tuning into Biden's empathy.
So even though we say we want to know what people, how they're going to govern, what their policy will be, we're really attracted to the personality that we like.
Yeah, we'd like to think we're drawn to policy and platform and ideology, but the reality is personality wins, it does it over and over. In fact, the only time these doves and owls tend to win presidential elections is if they're going against another dove or an owl. You take like a Jimmy Carter, okay, he's the dove. He won, but he was going against Ford, who was also a dove. Bring in Reagan's big charisma as a parrot, and the parrot wins the day. And I think we watched it in 2016. Eagle, Trump, owl, Hillary. Eagle beats owl. In this election, I think that Trump, because he's overusing his strengths, he may be turning his greatest asset into his greatest liability.
Right, so he may be taking the eagle too far. What's the biggest personality indicator that gives you insight into how they might govern?
Well, you can watch an eagle is big picture. They don't get caught up in plans and details. And when you watch them in a debate, Trump doesn't talk about plans and details. He makes emphatic statements. We'll figure the details out later. And that's what an eagle does. They'll let everybody else figure it out once I'm in. You look at someone like Biden, the indicators for him are the words he uses. He talks about the soul of the nation. Doves often talk about values, and so do parrots. And that's what he's got, that combo style. And I think when he gets in, if he wins the presidency, you're going to see him talk a lot about people and what people need, and you're going to probably see a lot of decisions focused on the people, just as he's always done. He's always talked about we have to care about the people. It's not as much about focusing on finances and budgets. It's more, how does this impact and resonate with the people themselves?
And what about the personality of their running mates?
It's fascinating to watch how candidates will typically pick a running mate that complements their personality. So you have Trump, who's this big picture eagle, big energy. And so what does he do? He brings Pence, who is more measured, more owl, and more dove, more calm, more detailed. You have somebody like Biden, who has that dove and parrot. He needs some eagle energy. So he brings in the prosecutor in Kamala Harris, who has that eagle. She's assertive, she's direct, but she also has that parrot-like ability. And so I think they both have picked someone who complements their personality.
What do you think when you see poll numbers? Because you're saying, look, it might not be about the issues or ideology. It might be how people are drawn to someone's personality. So when you see poll numbers about how people are going to vote, what do you think to yourself in terms of what the voters are thinking?
Even last time around in 2016, we had eagle versus owl. And I kept saying, I'm telling you, Hillary could win, but it would be the first time in 21 elections that has happened. And what's interesting is that when you look at polls, you would think, okay, the polls are going to reflect the personality styles. In this case, they may just be doing that. Trump, he is so overusing his personality that he's turning people off even within his party. And so I think what we're seeing in those poll numbers is a reflection of Trump's overuse of his personality and turning off voters. If Trump did everything he did, implemented the same policies, executive orders, but he did it with Ronald Reagan's personality and charisma, I think we'd be seeing something very different right now. I think it's a double-edged sword for Trump, and I think we're seeing it in the polls.
What about the collective personality of voters? Because we talked a lot this week about how the collective emotion of voters was a little dismayed after what we saw in the debate.
Yeah, there's really no data that says that eagles tend to vote for eagles or parrots vote for parrots. But I think what we are seeing is a lot of times after we have a president who has a lot of eagle, we often see a dove president next. We see this in corporations and CEOs. We also see it in presidents because it's almost like we're longing for that empathy and that connection. And I think that that's what the Democrats are hoping for, that we've seen a lot of eagle energy over these years, and now we need more dove. And that's why I think Biden is accentuating that style.
We'll see what happens on Election Day. Merrick Rosenberg, author of Personality Wins, Who Will Take the White House and How We Know. Thank you so much.
Thank you.